What's up YouTube? My name's Quickie, welcome back to the channel. Yeah, I've been playing. You saw an earlier video, I made Sherman, the English wheel, and I've just been mucking about trying to get used to it. Playing about doing seat humps and stuff basically. We started out with this horrible thing here. Yeah, this has been, one, it's really thick stuff, way too thick for doing a seat hump with. But this has been bent around formers, bent around a tube, bent around a bit of wood, bent around a different tube, heated up, bashed with a planishing hammer, did all sorts of stuff, and we couldn't make a seat hump. So made Sherman, and things are looking up. This is just a practice piece. This isn't the finished thing, not by a long shot, because I've never used one. But it is quite interesting actually. The plans are all up on the community page and also on the Facebook page if you want to go and grab a copy and have a go at making one yourself. But then it really is just a case of practice, practice, practice. And I have made a couple of mistakes. So I thought I'd share them with you. So if you are going to have a go, then you know where I messed up and you can hopefully avoid doing the same sort of thing. First thing is, I did loads of looking on YouTube, loads of looking. And one of the things they talk about is light pressure and moderate pressure. They don't tell you what light pressure is or moderate pressure is, just light pressure or moderate pressure. So anyway, me being me, I had too much pressure on it. And what happens is when you're wheeling it, you do get lines in it. And all I've done is I've gone over it with a DA. Hopefully you can see, I'm not sure if you can. Can you see these lines? Yeah? That's me cocking up. So yeah, what I'm doing is, I'll show you later on when we get into it, but I've sort of figured out the pressure thing, so I'll share that with you. The other thing I did wrong, like a technical thing, is I want it that shape, so I'm going straight for the big anvil. And I shouldn't have done that. I should have started on a lesser anvil. You know, not as much of a crown to it and kind of work my way up to it. Does mean that you're stretching the metal more because obviously it's going through more passes. But if you do mess anything up, then it's not going to be a big cock up and you can backtrack and you can save it. Whereas I found going for the combination of too much pressure and an anvil that's got too much crown on it, things just go all over the place. And the final thing that I was doing wrong is a skill thing, and that's only going to come with practice. But you can see the lines, they're my tracking lines where you go forwards and backwards through the wheel, and they weren't close enough together. You see, it's really hard to do actually, because as you're rolling it, you have to twist it one way, pull it back, and obviously the wheel kind of traverses the bit of metal. Then you have to straighten it up, and then you have to and basically you've just moved over a little bit. And you see the pros doing it, and they're just like this. Try doing that when you're new to it, it don't work very well. So they're the three things that I was getting wrong. Best advice I can give you if you're new into it is just take your time. I was rushing it, and my tracking lines was all over the place, and I had too much pressure, and I had the wrong anvil, and just I could have done better. But that said, I did get a shape, which and it's cool because you can roll it and you can tighten the curve up. And if you go a bit too much and you swap it out, you can kind of open it up again by cross wheeling it or using a different anvil or something like that. So you can monkey with the shape quite a lot just with the wheel. So it's one of those practice makes perfect sort of things. I've been watching loads of people online. There's Lassie, I don't know how you say it, I think it's Lassie, metal shaping. Anyway, little Swedish fella, he's diamond with one of these. There's Pro Shaper, he's another one. Pete, what's his chops? Can never remember his last name. I mean, there's loads of them, like proper master craftsmen on sheet metal. And they make it look so easy, and it just ain't. But you can get pretty good results, it has to be said. You just have to take your time. So that's what I'm doing. So I'm going to cut out, I've got a template. So that's basically I took it out of that. I want to drop the front a bit, so because it was standing too high, so I'm dropping it a bit, but that means I need to extend the front. So anyway, I've done a template for that, and that's what this turned out as, and that pretty much sits right. I just need to get a better finish and stuff on it. So I've got a template. I'm going to cut out another piece of sheet steel. I'm using 0.9 cold rolled steel, mild steel, and I think that's about right actually, because it's going to be pretty stiff once it's got all the curves and stuff in it. And then I'm going to try, because I haven't used this thing yet either, and I want to bash something. So I'm going to have a go at bashing this and then shaping it up and see if we can't get a seat hump made today. This is my version. Steve-O's going to have a go at making his own, and then whichever one we like best, that's what's going on the bike. But yeah, so that's what I'm doing today. It's Friday. I've got probably, I don't know, 6 hours I can put into this. I just want to see if I can get it done. Don't know. We'll have to see, eh? Anyway, it's a simple plan, easy to remember. What could go wrong? Right, so there's my template. This hopefully is going to be the one that ends up on the bike. I'm hoping. But we shall see. We shall see. Where's my magnets? All I did here was I went off the original unit that we did, which was too thick and it was never going to work, but it sort of got the right dimensions to it and everything else. So I went with that, traced out half of it, duplicated that on another piece of paper and then just stuck the two together, so I know that this is symmetrical. It's just an easy way of doing it really. Right, Sharpie. I wonder if it's going to work today, because I've not been having a lot of luck with these. Oh yeah. Oh no, it starts off so well. Right, there's my seat hump. Nearly done, isn't it? We'll keep that. Steve-O might need it. Right. Not done this before. In a commercial environment where you need to bash these out, or any sort of sheet metal, quickest way of getting a shape into it is to knock the snot out of it with a bossing mallet and a sandbag. And it does put an awful lot of shape in it. However, before I do that, I want to mark this up a little bit so I know what I'm doing. So, plonk that on there. It's only rough, but I like having references. To me, it just makes sense. That there. Okay. Right, so that's the centre line. Okay. Now if we take these two, see that one's got a nice little crown going on in here, and that's what I want to go. I want more crown at the front than I have at the back. So this is obviously the front, kind of goes like that. So it's this area here that I need to knock the shit out, sorry, the bejesus out of. Don't want to go all the way to the edge. One thing I did find is that when you're wheeling it, if you go right up to the edge, obviously you just stretch it, and then this leading edge can go a little bit wonky. So I'm gonna just put a no-go zone about there. Sharpies, bane of my life. That one's not much better either, is it? Then I want to concentrate most of it on the top. So we're probably only talking, I don't know, here-ish, something like that. So we'll start there. If we need to tweak it, we'll tweak it. So call it 70 mil. 70 mil, like that. Right, and then obviously as it gets to the back, I want it to kind of come into a V. So, because it's slightly narrower in the back and I don't want the whole of that curve there. So if we go, I don't know, let's go about 40-ish. It's just a guess, but the thing is, yeah, once I'm not just going to wallop the hell out of this and get this massive crown in it. I want to do it in stages, because essentially you are stretching the metal. You can't really shrink the metal on an English well. That worked. Next. I'm running out of so I need to get some more Sharpies. Oh, he's alright, we'll keep him. Right. So that is roughly where I want to concentrate most of the dinking. Yeah. That was probably not even that far down actually. We'll go to about here, I think. So that's the bit that I'm going to be bashing, and then we'll try and smooth it all out. See how we get on. Right, so as you can see, it doesn't look very good on this side. It's just, essentially I've got the curve in it started, okay? Bashing it with this thing is literally just stretching the metal. So as it goes in that way, this side obviously stretches out and it just looks horrible and nasty now. So, but one trick you can do, obviously everybody's seen it, is planishing in an English wheel. So essentially we're going to roll this, try and smooth it all out, and we should be left with a little bit of a dome to it. It has stretched this end, which isn't amazing, but I'm hoping that will come back. Right. WD, that'll do. Right, which anvil to go for? We're going to have to go for that one. Let's start off with the middle one, I think. We can always change it. Right. So as I get it with planishing, I want the curve to go that way, and basically this is going to shape it around the smallest radius. You will get a little bit going the other way, but most of it is going to be on a smaller radius, which is obviously the anvil. So because I want it going that way, I'm going to roll it this way over the anvil to start off with. And the idea is just you want to take all the bumps out of it. So if we nip it up a little bit, so it's just touching, right, not enough. Right, so as you feel it going through, it's lumpy. So it's skipping across all the bumps. We're going to go a little bit more, and then we're just going to try and smooth out some of those bumps. And it's quite sturdy in there, like if you knock it sideways, it's not moving. And this is where I have to concentrate, because my tracking was shocking. Trying to keep them as close as I can. I found the easy way as well with your tracking is if you don't try and move it on each pass. What I'm doing is sort of moving it every other one, because then I've only got to worry about going in one direction. So when I get to the backstroke here, I'll move it over very slightly that way, go forwards and then straighten it up again. And then a couple later, do the same thing again. Right, we're getting there, we're getting there. Can you see this? I don't know, can you see that? Where are you? Come on, sort your life out. So it's getting a bit of a crown to it. In all honesty, I've been going at this for about 20 minutes, I suppose. And it does have a nice little crown to it, and that's gonna, when this comes in, that's gonna be quite subtle. I just don't want it flat, because that would look junk. Let's stick it on the bike and I'll show you what I'm doing. I've just got it all propped up at the minute, but that is, it's too low. Something else. I'm not bothered about it sticking out of the side. I'm not bothered about the front of this being a little bit wavy, because I can smooth all that out. That's fine. All I'm doing is blocking it up with stuff at the minute, just so we can get an idea as to how it is going to sit. So it's a bit Heath Robinson, I know, but, you know, needs must and all that. What does that look like? That's probably not far off, actually. I'll need... right. Duct tape. Duct tape fixes everything. I'm just going to use this to get a bit of a line, really. Right. Some of that on there. Right, hopefully you can see what I'm trying to do. I don't want it the same height as the tanks, I think that would be wrong. I do think that would be wrong, but I do want it to sort of follow the line. So if that was to go like that, a little bit of a curve in it because it is a tiny bit lower, and then it kind of drops off, it's not flat. Hopefully you can see that. Stop wobbling. There we go. So I'm thinking something like that. I've got excess on the front, about yay much, and excess on the back, about yay much. So it's actually, it is going to be a really small hump, because we've got to wedge all Steve-O's chunky goodness in there, as you know. Why is that wet? Have I got a leaky roof? No. Right, that's coming off. But yeah, that's what I'm thinking. So it's quite good, actually. I'm getting better at the tracking. It's one of those things, it does take an awful lot of practice though. Like I say, I've only been doing this, what, 20 minutes? And you can get an awful lot of shape into it by bashing it with a bossing mallet. So that sort of worked. You have to be careful around the edges though, because you know, you crinkle it up and start creasing stuff and it all gets a bit... But yeah, I reckon we are onto something there. Definitely. So I think what I'm going to start doing, there's a few little... My lines are really good. They're really close together and it is smooth. It is lovely and smooth, actually. So what I need to now do is to start working on pulling the edges in. Reason why I've got the extra front and back is because I haven't stretched and wheeled that bit as much. So I've concentrated all my wheeling on the middle bit. That's a big thing I keep going on about, only wheel where you need to wheel. don't go over the whole thing, because then you're just stretching everything and you're not really putting a concentrated shape into it. So all my lines are really, really close together and they're all concentrated on the middle bit, and that's how come we've got this hump, and it's just smoothed out all the hammer marks, all the mallet marks, which is lovely. And then what I'm going to do is start to form it this way, side to side, so I can get a really nice good fit around the tube at the back on the seat frame. And then I'll mark it up, trim it down to that sort of size, and we'll see where we go from there. But it just gives you a little bit extra to play with, you know. The line that we marked out previously, I don't know if you can see it from there, it's actually here. Hang on, which one is it? See that one? Yeah, it's there. There. So it's going to be a real small seat hump. It is going to be small, because Steve-O is large. He ain't going to thank me for saying that, is he? Right, all I'm doing here is trying to mark out sort of where I need to stretch it a bit more. It's obviously touching in the middle, but we've got gaps either side here, and I want to try and start bringing the back end of it in. I don't really want to open the front of it out too much, I don't think, because it'll look odd. But I am going to need to stretch it. So what I'm thinking is, if I sort of stretch it in that area there, like that. Sorry, all these lines are just me working stuff out. What I'm going to do is stretch it in this area here, in the English wheel, try and open this bit up a bit more. And as that grows, I'm hoping it's going to start pulling the back end of it in, because I want to get these sides to start coming down. The excess and stuff I'm not worried about, I can just trim all that off as we go. But I think that is what I'm going to do. So don't need that line there, don't need that line, don't need that line. It's just those two areas. All I'm doing is sneaking up on it with the English wheel. Going over it and going over it with real light pressure. I don't want to put any lines and grooves and stuff in it, because that would suck, and I'd spend ages trying to get them out again, and then I'll be changing the shape if I did it all on the wheel. And I don't just want to DA it. This is 0.8mm thick, which, you know, I mean, all right, it's not dead skinny, but it's not dead chunky either. I want to leave as much as I can. I want the wheel to give it the shape. So I've got the crown in it. I'm quite happy with that. I'm pretty sure I can maintain that now. I just need to pull these back edges in, but to do that I need to grow the front a little bit on the shoulders here, and that should start to neaten it up a bit. And the idea is that I just want it to have a real nice snug fit all the way around the tubes, all the way around the back here, and to be symmetrical on the front, which I'll check with another template. And I want it to hold its own shape. I don't want to have to force it or, you know, weld stuff in or any of that malarkey. I just want the wheel to give it the shape, which takes time, but it's quite cool. I'm enjoying it. It is good fun. Right, let's do that. Okay, so update so far. He's on. A little bit of a crown to it. You just see the sort of black lines that go around the outside. That's essentially where it will be cut down to. At the minute, I've just shoved it on to try and get a fit and see what it looks like. If you look at it in keeping with the rest of the bike, the welding wire is just like as a point of reference really, so I can get it lined up centrally and make sure it's sort of just below the height of the tank. It looks a bit droopy at the minute, obviously because it's not all been trimmed up and stuff, but it will follow the same line as the rest of the frame. You'll get a cheeky bit of tubes poking out the bottom of it. It'll probably come down to like halfway down the tubes, just shy maybe. Don't know until we get to that point. It's nice and symmetrical that way. Don't know if you can see that, but it's basically as it should be. Everything in there is just to pack it out at the minute, the same with the clamps, just to hold it in place. And at the back, it's not too bad a fit on the left hand side, which is what I've just done. I've still got some shaping to do on the right hand side and tuck that into the frame nice and tight. It is a proper faff doing all that bit, it has to be said, because as you wheel it to bring that corner back in, then obviously the stretch metal goes elsewhere in the panel and something else will go out of shape. So it's a case of trying to do it all together. But the sort of top right hand corner, if I put a bit more of a radius in that, it should pull the bottom of the panel in. So what I'm thinking of is I'm going to wheel it sort of up here to bring this curve in, and that's going to bring the whole of this closer into the frame tube. And then it's just a case of faffing and fiddling and getting it as close as I possibly can do. There is going to be a seal that goes around the inside of this, so a tiny, tiny, tiny gap I'm really not too fussed about, because nothing's going to get in there anyway, but I do want it to be as nice and snug and tight as I can possibly get it. But it's looking all right. There's no big lines and bumps and dinks and nastiness going on, which is cool. So yeah, see what's what. See, I've just got it clamped at the minute. That's my centre line, the dotted line, just I'm using that just as a reference point. And it's very slightly narrower at the top here, because obviously it sort of slopes in and comes up to the hoop at the top, and slightly wider at the bottom. But it's got a nice little bit of shape to it, nice little crown to it at the top, so it's not dead flat. But we're getting there, slowly but surely. What is the time? So just to give you, for instance, this is almost there, but this so far has taken me 5 hours, just under 5 hours, I think. And that's literally from cutting out the piece of steel to what you see now. So it does take time, but rather than rush it and just put marks into the metal and all sorts of other stuff, I'm just taking my time and trying to get it right. But it's getting there, it's getting there. Ooh, we could be in. Oh yeah. So don't need them to pull it in. Right. I think we're there. Are we there? I've been faffing with this. This has had now another hour put into it, and all I've been trying to do is to get a real nice snug fit around this rear hoop. and there's about a mil gap on this side, and it kind of touches, then it's just touches again. It's as close as I'm going to get it, and it ain't going anywhere. That's it. And if I look down the middle of the bike, the crown, top of this, where the centre line is the first bit that touches the top of the tank when you kind of line them all up. So I think we're in. That's been a pain. It's been a proper pain. There you go, what are you going to do? It's got to be right, isn't it? So what I need to do now, because where I've been wheeling it, this is obviously stretched out a little bit. So this side comes forwards more than this side does. Not too fussed about that because I did it oversized anyway, knowing that this was going to be the case. Because the stretch metal has got to go somewhere. And that's it. So I'm going to have to level that up and chop that off, because it needs to come back to about here anyway, which is pretty much in line with this side. So it's just a case of finding a line across there and chomping it off at the right place. For the back end, I don't want it just to be like a sharp sticky out bit. So I might try rolling the edge of it over the top of the frame. That could look quite good, just like a little, just so it just dips down as it goes around the frame tube. That could be a nice touch actually. And then underneath I'm going to have one tag sort of mounted like that on the inside of the frame. This is going to have a bolt welded to it, and that will drop in a hole. So that will locate it at the back, and then I'm going to have two more down the sides here on the inside. So I don't want any fixing showing at all. So I just want it to look like a panel that's magically held on somehow. But I can put a couple of lugs in there, just like the U-shaped lugs that will catch the bolt, and I can weld those to the frame. That's it, fine. It's going to have a seal that goes all the way around it anyway, because I don't want any water coming. He's probably only ever going to ride it in the summertime anyway, because he's put so much into it already, and he's kind of here, there and everywhere with his job. So it's not going to be a daily driver. This is going to be a treat for weekends and sunny weather and stuff. And I can trim the bottom up around the tube. Yeah, that's what I'm doing. That'll be all right. And it'll have a tiny bit of flex in it, so it can just sit down over the top of the tube. Or I might even have it, I don't know. Anyway, I'm going to dress this up so it looks nice, and then see where we go from there. Right, so I whizzed over it real quickly with the DA just to pick out where all my high spots and low spots are. There are a few little gremlins and stuff, but it's all going to dress out with a DA, which is fine. But before I go sanding anything down, I want to try and get this lined up. So all I've done is put a piece of tape over it where I think it's level. Because obviously this end, this side at the front is further forwards than this one here. Which is fine. I always knew that was going to happen because it was going to stretch. So what have we got? Let's take a couple of... Ooh, that is pretty close. I know it's not the most accurate thing to come off, but 0.2. Right, that's it. Yeah, that's it. Okay, let's mark that. If me Sharpie works, yeah, I still haven't got any more. All I'm doing here is what I'm going to do is I've got a piece of metal here. I'm just going to chomp a bit out to go on there and I'll tack it in place. Because I want to try and take some of this wiggle out of the panel as well. So doing this would be a good thing to do. So all I've done is put a piece of paper down, stuck that on top, drawn around the inside of it, and I've got this. And I'm just looking to see quite how symmetrical it is. It does come out to the side just a little bit, and this would be, if that's the back, that goes in there. So it's going to be this side. So that's the other reason why I want to get this piece in the front, because then I can kind of manipulate it when it's up on the bike and just get it, you know, properly set and sorted. So what I'm going to do, I mean, there is hardly anything in this. There's 3mm, I guess. This side comes down nice and square. This side has got a little bit of a bow in it. So what we're going to do is chop out this piece of metal so it's the same as this nice straight side. And then when I come to tack it in place, I'm just going to, you know, obviously this will be cut to size, and I'll move it in, put a tack on it, move it in, put a tack on it, and it's only like 3mm. But at least this way, doing a template and folding it in half, you can see quite how symmetrical it is. All that was just done by eye, and to only be 3mm out, I'm quite happy with that. So that's what we're going to do. So I need a point there from the centre line, and another point there. Could do with some magnets actually. These little magnets are brilliant. I mean, they're a bit hairy because of all the grinding dust and everything, but they're really, really good just for stuff like this. Right, and draw around this one.